My name is John Pagonis. I'm a software production consultant. I work for Janssen Labs. What I do is I help people build useful software for useful products. But it wasn't always that way. I basically got into UX design because I totally, utterly failed my startup. And at that point, I realized as an engineer that you basically build software, you build products, and you do UX design for people to actually have products that they really need, can, and want to use. That's what you learn. And basically, these days, tell our clients that UX design is evidence-based. What we do is we collect evidence as we go along to make our designs. And as we go along, we might start at the beginning of the project doing a bit of little user research, and we continue and we do more user research, and we collect evidence, and based on that evidence, we make decisions, and we build the software. We start maybe with nothing, but we are pragmatic. We continue, and we build the software. We don't wait for all the evidence to be there to make decisions. And good UX design is basically methodic. You have a method. Good UX is designed methodically. And, and actually, it's designed iteratively. We don't finish everything and we move on to the next stage because the boss cannot wait, the client cannot wait. We actually do it in small iterations. So where does UX design fit into the Scrum framework? How many of you here are familiar with Scrum? Excellent. All right. So where does it fit? Well, modern UX design follows Lean principles. I guess you've seen this Lean UX loop or the Lean startup loop. We might have built something. We want to collect some evidence about how it works and how users behave with it. We learn something, we build it again. Or maybe we do some research, we build something, and then we measure. Or maybe we have the evidence, which we have measured. We get insights, and then we build it again. I mean, this is normal. So modern UX design follows Lean principles, and so does Scrum, which is based on the Toyota production system. And I'm sure you've seen this example before. How many people have seen this example before where we do some UX design here, we ideate, we do stuff, and then we give it to engineers to work with it and build the software, and then do it again and all over again? You've seen that? You've practiced it? Excellent. Well, yeah, well, I was leaning to it. Well, there are better ways of doing it. Yes, because this is mini waterfall within Scrum, which is not ideal. And the best way of doing it is actually to run our development sprints, doing UX all along, and having engineering and UX research and UX design happening at the same time within the sprint, without having sprint zero different teams, actually. Everything within one team doing the work. So how do we practice UX design during a sprint? Well, this is a graphic from the 1986 paper on Harvard Business Review by Takeshi and Onaka, who first introduced in the new product development game what people were doing in Japan in actually developing physical products that were building the competition. And what you see here is that you can do some work instead of waiting for it to finish and have all the information. When you have just enough, in parallel, you can start another phase, and you can do this within your team or between teams. So you don't wait for the phase to finish. You practice concurrent development, which is a good practice, because the idea is not to have overlapping phases. The idea actually is to have overlapping phases and to avoid handoff and waiting, because handoff and waiting is waste. For example, yeah, you can start with business requirement, do some user research, design and implement stuff, and do testing. And at the same time, in parallel, develop software as you go along and iterate and iterate. So the idea is to have overlapping phases, not to have handoffs and waiting, and to iterate. And how do you do this as a UX designer? Well, basically the answer is simple. You are in a cross-functional team. You are not alone. As a UX designer in Scrum, you are a part of the Scrum team. You do not stay in your own UX team, in your ivory tower and designing stuff for engineers to do it. Because that's, again, a handoff. You throw stuff over the wall and you wait for engineers to do it. You're in one team that can actually deliver working software with your team. You can explain stuff. You can refine your backlog. You can fix stuff. You can actually get engineers in a user interview, get them to observe, get information so they know what they're building and for whom. Thank you very much.